Hello, everyone, and welcome to Across the Line, WFUV's tennis podcast. Today, I am joined by Grace McCarron and Mary Hannah Gallagher, who is making her Across the Line debut. We have so much to get into today, but first, how is everybody doing?
I'm good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm good. It's the first really hot day in Massachusetts today. So that's been kind of nice, but also kind of sweaty. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Excited for the women's final on Saturday and excited for the men's semis tomorrow. I didn't get to watch the women's semis today because I was in class, but tomorrow I will definitely be watching the men.
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch as much as watch live as much as I would have liked to because I started my internship this week. But thankfully we'll be able to recap everything and give some good predictions for the next few days. So I'm really excited to jump right in. I guess to start off, we'll sort of segue to one of the heavier segments on today's episode. At the Open, so far, there have been several claims of sexism regarding the exclusion of women's matches from the tournament's prestigious night sessions. And since the introduction of these sessions in 2021, only 4 of 47 have featured women's matches. And tournament director Amelie Marusimo, who used to be Andy Murray's coach, has defended the practice and has claimed that, ticket holders deserve to see matches that run longer, therefore seeing men's matches at nights. So there's definitely been a lot of criticism. Several players have spoken out about this, including, Arina Sabalenka and Ons Jabeur. But it's definitely something being debated right now. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this, or even, any opinions.
Yeah, I think that one of the defenses that a lot of people have had for not having women's matches at night is that women's matches don't get as many viewers. But that's really because we're not putting them on the center stage, If we put women's matches in high profile situations like night games, I'm sure that we would see consistencies of people watching those games. I mean, the players in these games, like Coco Gauff, already has such a huge following. And of course, the entire French population had been really banking on some of their French players, and I'm sure they would have loved to see them playing in these night games.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the explanation that people should at the night sessions be watching like the longer matches, I think that's kind of a weak argument because there's a lot of the women's matches that are more like they're drawing a lot more. Like Iga is an established French Open champion now, like in her generation, probably the best player at the French Open. Obviously her generation following Rafa Nadal, but like that's somebody that people want to watch and she's a four-time champion now at a very young age. Obviously she will talk about it, but she got eliminated this morning. But like you can't really say they deserve to watch X match just because it'll go on longer if it's less interesting and doesn't feature like a four-time champion. Like I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I think the players who are speaking out against it are definitely correct. As you said, Mary Hannah, like there's a lot of women tennis players that are drawing a lot of attention these days. It's not really how it was for a lot of years with the big three on the men's side, and like Serena Williams was kind of the major woman on her end. Now it's a little more evenly spread out, I'd say. So yeah, I don't love this argument from Amelie Mauresmo, who is a French Open champion herself. Kind of disappointed to hear that. Hopefully it'll change in the future.
No, definitely. I think it's as you said, Grace, such a weak argument. I don't think that viewership would be affected here, especially considering just the expectation of, all these players. There are so many incredible players within this tournament. As you said, Iga is one of them. She's one of the best, objectively clay players on the tour right now. So I think that it's definitely a baseless argument and definitely in need for some change. And also, I think it's unique that or maybe not unique, but rather says something. The fact that this is the only major where they do something like this. Like the Open doesn't do this, Wimbledon doesn't do this, the Australian Open doesn't do this. This
Mhm.
seems, I mean, that in itself, I think, says something. But now that we kind of covered that, I know it was a heavy segment to start off with. Um, but there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of underdogs, a lot of really great matches. Both sides of the draw are stacked. We had a great match this morning between Goff and Bosson of France. Sabalenka defeated Swiatek. So it definitely shows that some top players made it very far within this tournament. But in regards to those matches and then your prediction for the final, what were your guys' thoughts?
Uh, I definitely think that we're going to see more of Coco Gauff. I think that this isn't even tomorrow, or is it Saturday's match, just isn't
Yeah.
even going to scrape what I think we know that Coco Gauff is capable of, given her possible components. But other than that, I have really liked watching Alcaraz play in this Open. I think that being the defending champion, you can really see that he has a lot behind him to really make him have such a run in this Open. And I'm excited to see how far he goes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this women's final. Definitely, honestly, think it could go either way. We know that Coco's already been to a French Open final, and this is Sabalenka's first one. Obviously, Sabalenka has more majors than Coco, but and also Coco lost that French Open final that she did play in Tiga, but I think it's going to be an interesting match because they both have such strong components of their game, and they've both been playing so well these past couple of weeks. So I'm excited to see that. And then actually, the men's semi that I'm most excited for is Sinner and Djokovic because I've seen a lot of people say they still think Djokovic can win this tournament, which I personally don't want to happen, but that's my personal thing. I would love an upset. I love Alcaraz, but I would love an upset in that semifinal so we could see Musetti and Sinner and all Italian
Really?
men finally.
What?
Yes, I'm such a sucker for like a really strange upset. Like no offense to Musetti, he's a great player, but like nobody's expecting him to win this match. So, but I think like that would be so cool. Musetti and Sinner, all Italian men. Like this is a kind of a new door opening for Italian men's tennis with Sinner being number one in the world, and then there's all these other great players as well as on the women's side for them. So I think that would be really cool. I don't think it'll happen. I think it'll end up being Alcaraz and Sinner, but I am interested to see if Djokovic can pull this off, if anybody can pull off. I mean, that would also be a pretty big upset. If anybody can pull it off, though, it's definitely him. So,
Oh my gosh, I have so much I want to say. Okay, first off, with wait, I don't even know where to start. I feel like my mind is racing. Okay, for Musetti, here's the thing. I've always liked him. I thought it was his Olympics run that was great and really kind of like put him on the map, although he's been a very talented player. But what he did to the linesman,
that was not great. Yeah.
now I am definitely not rooting for him. For those who don't know, he was at the baseline to serve and he kicked a tennis ball and it hit the linesman. And that is against the rules. Like, you cannot do that. Djokovic was thrown out of the Australian Open for doing that. And he just got a warning. Like, I think that's totally unfair and so unsportsmanlike. So now, I'm sorry, Grace, but I do not want an upset based on that. But in regards to Novak and Yannick, I think it's objectively going to be a good match.
Hmm.
I think Sinner is going to take it. And he's just been so consistent. Like, I know Novak's, been suffering some injuries and having some inconsistencies, but I don't know. I would love a Sinner Alcaraz final.
I think
Especially
that's also like what would be best for tennis because that's becoming the new I don't want to compare it to like the big three rivalries just yet, but like that's
No,
the
we should. We
second
should.
rendition. And like that's what the people need. The people love a good rivalry and a good rematch. I mean, like totally different sport, but like in the Stanley Cup final right now, like that's a big draw is that it's a rematch from last year. So that would be great for the sport and for the publicity. For me, I love an underdog, so I'm like still a little bit. The thing with the lines person with Musetti was obviously bad. Like that can't happen. And it's so interesting to me how he only got a warning and Djokovic got uh defaulted at the Australian or yeah, the Australian Open. That was kind of weird. Not really sure why that was. I do remember when Djokovic did it, um the woman was like hit in the throat with a ball, which is
Yeah.
really especially really bad.
Yeah. And
Um
I do think, like, as soon as you said he did it, like, he kind of was, like, apologetic immediately.
yeah.
So I can see where, like, maybe playing into the line judge more probably helped him there.
Yeah.
But I still totally agree that there should be, like, a consistent rule, at least per open. Because
Yeah.
then, like, per match, I guess, there isn't really, like, a written rule about, like, what happens if you do something like this. It's just, it's like we know that it's not okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
it's,
think like the only time I can remember, I'm sure it's happened before, but the only time I can remember it happening is when it was Djokovic, and that's such like a high profile name for it to happen to. So, yeah, I'm surprised that there's no like uniform code of like what to do, even though it's such like a strange thing. But I think definitely like not defending this at all, but like I do think Djokovic having hit the woman in the throat was probably something that played into their decision to default him. But yeah, I still think it's weird that they're treated differently and you know, you said he got a warning and now he's still in contention for the title. It's just kind of it's odd, but yeah.
No, it is. And I think what Tiafo said was really admirable. They were playing one another when this happened. He said, it's comical, but you have to move on. And I think that's a good mindset and just a testament to Tiafo because I love him. He can work through that. I mean, I know he lost the match, but something like that is so upsetting and, fills you with so many emotions that you can't sometimes get through. So the fact that he was able to like play a good match, and sort of just persevere was really admirable. And I like the fact that he's talking about it in the press. I think it's important and hopefully, says something to other tennis players about, their etiquette on the court because it's so important. But something else that you said, Grace, that I want to circle back to was the Sabalenka golf matchup. I'm also so excited about that. I think it's going to be so great. I looked up all of the times that Sabalenka and Goff played one another, and out of their 10 encounters, Goff has defeated Sabalenka 5 times, so they're literally 50-50. More recently, we've seen Sabalenka win, but in 2023, we saw Goff obviously win the U.S. Open final, and then I forgot that in 2024, in the WTA finals semifinal, Goff won 7-6, 6-3 against Sabalenka. So that's a sign. I'm hopeful. I'm a big Goff fan. I love Sabalenka. I think she's great, but I would love to see, an American win this. I know Goff has never won the tournament, so I think it would be great. I'm curious what your guys' predictions are. I think it could go either way, like you said, but I would love for Goff to take this home.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I would love to see Goff bring it back. I think that after the Olympics, we've kind of watched her go on like this rebound campaign almost. And I've kind of really enjoyed watching it like unfold. And I think that taking home one of these major trophies would really give her a new boost with her performance. But also just watching how she totally dominated Boisson,
Mhm.
how you say it.
Yes, that's
I
right.
take French, so I feel like I should know, but that's okay. But just watching, I watched that match today and I was there for like not even an hour. And I was like, how did that happen so fast, you know? It was really exciting to watch her dominate something like that so much. So I'm rooting for her.
I'm definitely rooting for Coco, especially because she's been here before. I think she probably wants that redemption from the loss to Iga, which I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago now. So I'm rooting for her. I don't know though, like this is a tough one. I mean, obviously number one and number two in the world. But I'm leaning towards Sabalenka a little bit. I feel like she's played such a dominating game recently. Like she bageled Iga in the third set today. Like nobody does that at the French Open to Iga. Like that's crazy to me. So if she comes out like swinging the way she did today, then I think it'll go to Sabalenka. But I do hope that Goff can keep to that level as well. I think I was watching the Tennis Channel the other day about Coco's quarterfinal match, and now I'm forgetting who it was against, but they were saying like it was kind of a messy match with the both of them. There were a lot of unforced errors, kind of like not a very pretty win. So for Coco and for I think it was Madison Keys, but I don't quote me. But I would say that that is not the kind of thing that can happen against Sabalenka because she will capitalize on that and use it to beat her. So if she plays a clean game like we know that she can, I think Coco can absolutely win. But I would say right now, just because of Sabalenka's run so far and recently how well she's been doing, I am going to pick Sabalenka to win.
Okay, well, I can't wait for next week when we recap the whole thing. I think it's going to be, two great finals, men's side and women's side, regardless of who makes it. I think that's what makes this tournament so great. Or really any major, the fact that you never know who's going to make it to the end. Like the fact that we had a wild card in the women's semifinal is insane. And just a testament to, how the sport can really change in a flash. But as we come to the end of our episode, I wanted to ask what everyone's rose and thorn of the tournament was. For those that don't know, a rose, best part, thorn, maybe something you didn't like or was surprising. Grace, why don't you start us off? I know it's a big question.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my thorn. Let me get the negative out of the way first. My thorn was Casper Ruud losing in the first round. That was terrible. I think we talked about that at length last week. That was terrible. I love him, and yeah, he should definitely be doing way better at the French Open because he's been to the final at the French Open before. Obviously, lost to Rafa. Nobody beats Rafa at the French Open. So I'd say that was my thorn. I didn't love that. But my rose. Okay, actually, I was watching a little bit of the mixed doubles final this morning. This is a little off the beaten path, but I would say my rose was Sarah Irani winning mixed doubles this morning. She's 38 years old and she's still kicking. Like, she's been around a long time. If you go all the way back to like, I want to say like early 2010s, her and Roberto Vinci for Italy on the women's doubles side were winning titles. They played together for a long time, and now Sarah Irani is still winning. And just think that's awesome. And obviously, congrats to her partner too, Andrea. I don't remember his last name, but congrats to the both of them. And Sarah Irani, 38 years old, still kicking. So thought that was cool.
Uh, I think I'll do my rose first, which was Boisson's run.
Hmm.
Really, I know that Coco Gauff really like ate her up almost today, but still being a wild card player for the French Open and then making it to the semis was really fun to watch. But then my thorn would probably be kind of the almost like dubious ruling on the Musetti ball kick. I just think that that really brought out bad parts of tennis fans as it became so like controversial about the call. Like people were saying like, "Oh, she'll be okay," like the ball person will get up. Like, I don't know. That really bothered me about the culture of the French Open. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Also,
Yeah.
sorry to cut off, but to issue a correction, Rude lost in the second round, which isn't much better, but I'll give him his props. He did get to the second round, but I'm still super bummed that he lost that early.
No, that was a big upset. I love him. And he was great in the Madrid Open. I don't know what happened. Like, considering he had just won that, I was shocked too.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my thorns. For me, I guess I'll go with my negative first too. I think Gail Monfils' loss to Jack Draper was my thorn. I thought it was such a good match, and Monfils, I believe he's 38, just shows his agility. Like he's just timeless. An incredible player, a great match. Draper won in the fourth set, so Monfils won a set. I thought that he totally could have made it go to five, and I would have loved to seen that upset. But I'm gonna say his loss was my thorn because I think he totally could have done it. And then I guess my rose would be Nadal's ceremony. I know we talked about it a few episodes ago, but I was emotional. Like I could not believe it, considering like I mean, we're all, the same age, just a few years apart, but I grew up and like Nadal was the guy, Federer, Murray, Djokovic, and then of course like Queen Serena. But seeing Murray, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer together celebrating Nadal's successes, I think was so full circle and really cool to see. So that definitely was my rose. And it made me wonder if there's going to be some sort of additional ceremony for Roger, considering he didn't get one to this degree. I think they definitely should do something similar at Wimbledon. But that's an aside because I think, Roger's biggest fan.
Mhm.
But with that being said, we will wrap things up and prepare for the women and men's final this weekend. And next week, we will keep you posted with the results and our commentary. So, with that being said, I'm Mary Hawthorn, joined by Grace McCarron and Mary Hannah Gallagher, who made her Cross the Line debut. This is Cross the Line, a production of WFUV Sports.